Hi, good morning, class. My name is Josh Houston, and today, just going to talk to you a few minutes about a critical assignment. My critical assignment that I did mine on was a case study about the student veterans of America. So before I get into that, just want to start out. Actually, I want to apologize if the video is a bit grainy, but just working with the little technical difficulties right now, so just please bear with me. So to begin, um, the Student Veterans of America is an organization that is based out in Washington, D.C., and around the country on different college campuses, there are various charters. And what the Student Veterans of America, what they do is it's a network of student military vets that are going to school or active in school, and they basically provide support for other student veterans and basically give them the resources and things needed to help them to graduate, to complete their degree. Um, and then to have that support while they're pursuing those endeavors. And so, and basically, I had the opportunity with CBU Online. We're actually opening up our own chapter of the SVA, and I myself have been appointed by CBU Online to be the president of this SVA chapter. And so basically, doing this case study, kind of reflecting on how I'm going to form a small group of different officers to help me run this particular organization. And so, as I did this case study, trying to understand how the group was formed and things of that nature, and I thought it was just interesting because of how it all came together. So I thought it'd be an interesting thing to talk about and to do my case study over, do my research. Before I get into that, just want to talk. Give a few thoughts basically on the idea of small groups and how many people are kind of reticent to participating in some. I mean, although we have social media today, such as Facebook, Twitter, that have virtual groups, online groups that meet together, discuss things, either in like gaming, whatever the case may be, support groups, what have you. But also there are negative attitudes towards it, and something known that the book, our textbook, talks about is group hate. And what group hate is basically it describes a feeling, the troublesome feeling of do working in groups. And obviously, when you work with groups, you have various different, various personalities. Sometimes those personalities clash, and especially when you're trying to decide on the direction of the group and what goal is to be accomplished and how to go about accomplishing it. And so some people have their own ideas, have their own opinions, and oftentimes they get into conflict. And that conflict actually impedes progress in some cases. And so it really depends on when you start forming a group, it's very important to understand uh, the different skill sets and personalities that people bring to the table, and then how to utilize each person's gift and skill set so that it will complement not only the group, but then it will um, allow progression toward accomplishing the group's goal. So, so basically, there are several reasons why group hate happens. Um, one of the reasons is that as the group endeavors to accomplish the goal, many of them feel that some people in the group contribute more than others, and that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people don't really care for groups. And in doing that, you'll have one person who um, who actually puts out exerts more effort into the group, and then that leads to other group members doing what's called social loafing. And what social loafing is basically uh, a term that describes how certain members of a group exert less effort, and therefore it puts all the strenuous work on the other group members to accomplish the group's goal. And the problem with this is that it's contagious because it causes those who do social loafing. It causes them to um, exert less effort, but then it carries on to the other group members, and then they don't want to exert any effort because then they don't want to feel like they're being taken advantage of because they're doing all the work. And so those are some of the things that actually kind of hurt group progress and group development, and it kind of impedes it and prevents groups from accomplishing the group set goal. So to kind of open up with that, basically, this is one of the things that I'm dealing with as far as getting starting this particular group with the SVA. And so, uh, as I was doing this research, I'm in the first stage. There's actually, well, before we get into that, there's the way that it came about was that, usually in groups you'll have, as groups are come together as they come together, usually what they end up having is a leader actually emerges from out of the group. And so when that leader emerges, it's usually the ones that are usually more talkative, so forth, are competent about what the group is about, and are competent in how to get that group to achieve the goal. And so usually they go through a process of elimination, where um, they go through the first phase, and that's basically kind of eliminating the more quiet members, more reticent members, those that don't really participate. Obviously, they wouldn't be great leaders because um, they're not showing any interest, or not so much showing any interest, but they just don't really feel motivated as far as leading a group. And so, in that second phase, once the quiet members are phased out, then you'll have the evaluation of those who are more talkative, and usually from that, then the person that is more competent, um, and they would be the ones to actually end up being the leader of the group. In my case, I was appointed to be uh, the president. So already the leadership that I attained wasn't based on a group evaluation. I didn't have to go through that process of elimination. So I essentially skipped that first phase. So basically, the way that it was decided was that because I have experience in the military, and I'm obviously understanding what the SVA is about, um, it made me a candidate off the bat. And so now I'm at the part where of forming the group. So it kind of worked in reverse, So basically now, as leader, now I have to appoint, um, or find members to of this group to help me carry this mission out. And so, um, one of the things that I found out in my research was a researcher by the name of Bruce Tuckman, and he came up with a model of group development and how groups form, and then how they develop over time, how they change over time, and based on um, goals that are set forth and how they go about accomplishing those goals. So the way that he described it is that first a group goes through forming, And in the forming stage, group members come together, and they basically learn about each other, and then they learn about the task. They learn about what they're supposed to do. So in about the SVA, is that my job will be to get everybody together, and basically finding a vice president, finding a secretary, finding a treasurer, what have you, and then we discuss what is the mission of the SVA? How are we going to go about doing that? And so, usually at this stage, you find some that are uncommitted. You find about uncommitted members. Some people are confused about the overall goal, and then low morale, hidden feelings, etc. You find all that in the forming stage, and then those are some of the potential problems that you'll have when forming that group. Once that group gets past the forming stage, they enter into what's known as the storming stage. Storming stage is where the group members continue to work on the task, and then they get deeper and engage more. And in the storming phase, there's different ideas that are being presented. So like brainstorming and try to come to a consensus, to an agreement on how we need to go about this. So as president of the SVA, my job will be to try to understand everybody's opinion. Ultimately, I will have to decide. I'm sorry for the camera shaking. So, ultimately, I have to decide on how to handle these arguments, how to handle, and then make the final decision on how the direction of the group. So that's where the conflicts come into play. Hidden people who have hidden agendas. Um, you have a lot of devil's advocates, which can serve good in some respects, but not all the time and in not all contexts of a small group. Once the storming phase is over, then you go into the norming phase. And the norming phase is where groups establish implicit and explicit rules that govern. And a lot of this is basically through, and in my case, we have a constitution on how meetings will be conducted, how we will be conducted. So there's a culture in there, and group norms when we come to meetings and how we carry ourselves. That's where the norming phase comes in. Then after the norming phase, then you have performing. The performing phase is where the once a consensus is met, and agreements, all of the arguments are hashed out, everything of that nature. Then you go to decide on how to implement these different measures to accomplish the group's goal. And so, for instance, in our project time frame for the SVA, in about a month, not a month, I say about three more months. Once we get this off the ground, our first task will be to hold an information session for all student veterans, dependents, so on and so forth, to have them come out to the school and kind of tell them about what the SVA is about and what we're here to do, what it's designed to do, how they can utilize our services, so on and so forth. And that's the performing phase. Originally, Techman in his group development model only had four stages, which is what I just explained. But as as researchers over the years understood more, there were more dynamics to group development. They added on a fifth, which is adjourning. And so adjourning is basically once the event or the group's goal is accomplished, the event is over. Then the group basically departs, goes their own separate way, so on and so forth. Um, for the SVA, that is not really the case because the position that I hold is for a year, as well as all of our respective officers will be for a year. So our group will continuously meet after every event, and basically discussing what we did right, what we did wrong, how we could do things better, so on and so forth. From a biblical standpoint, basically, I'm reminded of Hebrews 10:24 and 25, which says, "And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, all the more as you see the day drawing near." Um, and so, basically, even in biblical times, um, the Christians would meet in small groups, and their purpose was to come together to encourage one another in love and good works, and to express their specific gifts toward each other, and then also serving the community by spreading the gospel, or whatever the instruction was for that time. So it was very organic, sporadic, so on and so forth. So but I use this verse because that is how, from a biblical standpoint, how when we form these small groups, that's how we should act toward each other. And I believe that conflict will always happen. I mean, the text even talks about it, is that even when you have people of different personalities, backgrounds, worldviews, you will always have conflict. But the difference is in the way that a group will advance to meet their goal, divided from the or as opposed to groups that won't meet their goal, is that they will handle the conflicts in a right way where everybody feels, um, not that they're not so much that their needs are met, but that they understand. There's an understanding, a common understanding of the goal of the group. And so basically, that is what my case study was over. So I thank you guys for listening, and sorry for the camera shaking and everything like that. But hope you enjoyed it, and hope you learned something. Thank you, and talk to you later.